Hello, fellow supermoms. Nadine here from the Special Needs Supermom podcast. Today, I want to talk to you about medication for ADHD. Because still in this day and age, there is a lot of controversy about ADHD medication. I saw it with my parents because when they first heard we were going to try ADHD meds for our son when we lived in America, they were terrified and that he would turn into a zombie. And it was just a matter, and I still hear this today, it's just a matter of a clean desk, taking away all distractions, and just focus, or, make it really fun if you're in school for 7 hours. I don't know if you can remember that, but really, did you find everything interesting? And yes, you have to learn it all. And yes, you have to do it all. Doesn't help you focus. Clean desk doesn't help us focus because we have a really creative mind. So, I wanted to talk to you about what it can bring you if you have the right meds. I've been diagnosed last year at the age of 45. I've always been busy, and we always joked about the fact that Wonderboy kind of looked like his mom. He had this from his dad and this definitely his mom. But I never got a diagnosis. I did fine and had my own business. And of course I did a gazillion things an hour, and I can't for the life of me sit still for a few hours on a couch. Only if I have pneumonia or something. Yet, ADHD meds or having a diagnosis, I never thought about it. I really, to be honest, when I had a guest on the show, it was the first time I thought, wait, she sounds exactly like me. And her youth kind of sounds like me. But still, I didn't see the problem. So it was more out of curiosity that I went for an ADHD ADHD diagnosis. And part of that was, I had to do several tests, and I had a lot of talks with a psychologist and a psychiatrist and an ADHD specialist. And I had to try out several computer tests with and without medication. I have to say I did great on both of them because hyper-focus people, and I'm really competitive in computer games, so I was acing it anyway. But when I was on my way home, and I still had, they gave me Ritalin, I still had that in my system, and I was standing on a train station, and for the first time ever, and if you don't have ADHD, you won't get this part, but I was only standing on a train station waiting for my train. And it was dark, and you saw those offices, and normally I will see the light in an office, and I will think, oh, that's still so bad. There's probably somebody working late there, and oh, they might have had a row with their boss, or they're bullied. And I come up with all these stories of an office with lights in the window. I don't even see persons, but I will make up a story. And the same goes for everyone I see waiting on a train. And in the meantime, at the same time, I'm also thinking about groceries. How late will I get home? Will I make it on time for dinner, or do we have to get some, takeout? By the way, there's a client meeting going on. All at the same time. Until that day, when there's a song by an Icelandic artist called Björk, and she sings It's Oh So Quiet in the beginning of that song. It was so nice. And I went like, well, okay, to be honest, boring. Non-ADHD people, really boring minds. But I only had to focus on one thing. There were no gazillion thoughts in my mind popping up. Anyway, that was just for the test. And I went home, and I was going to do cognitive behavioral therapy. And I thought, I've been doing this 45 years without meds. Really, I don't need it. to be honest, uh, you know, we're not anti-meds at all in our home because I'm a severe asthmatic. My daughter has juvenile arthritis. I would have died at the age of 4 if it wasn't for science and medication. And several times after, if I would have had the lives of a cat, well, no, I would have been dead with the 9 lives of a cat as well. So meds saved my life numerous occasions, and still to this day, I can't go without my asthma inhalers. And I've got several doses, and several times a year I need some extra oomph to help my lungs. But it's all there. So I'm really grateful for hospitals, science. The same goes for Supergirl. We have a daughter with juvenile arthritis. A lot of people don't know, but you can still die of rheumatoid arthritis. People still die of that. And I don't even want to think about how and where she would be without her medication. I'm in a parent group with moms in the US where we used to live. And if I hear the terrible stories of their kids not having access or, health insurance blocking meds and the effects of that. When I see it, when my daughter can't take her shot because, she has a temperature or anything. Anyway, we're positive about medication. We can see what it can bring you. So when Wonder Boy, at the age of 7, when we lived in the States, and he got his diagnosis for autism and ADHD, and he explained, and we saw firsthand how he really could not focus in school. They would start the day with something called Super 6. So the teacher could, check all the kids, and everybody had to do 6 math problems. He will be distracted within the first assignment. He would be distracted. And still later on in a high school, he went to a specialized high school for kids with autism and ADHD. And they would say, we will just place you in front of a white wall. And he would try to say, that's not the solution. Because a white wall can be, the North Pole, the South Pole, which makes you think about polar bears or, penguins, depending on where you are, and pollution. And because when you think about that, you think about, that the ice is melting, pollution, animals will die. What can I do? Seriously, that's how fast somebody can think about something. And that's just a white wall. And for my son, it would probably, be the planet of Hoth. Star Wars nerds will know what I'm talking about. Really a white planet. If you don't crack the soul, that is. But a white wall, seriously, we have a lot of imagination. Most ADHD people are really creative. So it's happening all here. The fact that we have a messy desk doesn't matter at all. Until he finally got some medication. And we saw him still being creative, still playing with his Legos, but he was able to focus for a longer period of time. So it made everything way easier for him. So back to me, 40 years later, and they said to me, part of the therapy is really trying out meds because it's still the first choice of treatment. To be honest, I was reluctant. And I was like, seriously? Is it not just about finding the right therapy, what will work for you? And of course, little things like that can help. It helps that I don't have 10 different notebooks nowadays, but only one with several tabs for all the different tasks, but it's in one place. And to prevent me going into hyperfocus, it helps that I have a timer that says, okay, you need to stop right now. It helps that I have reminders in my phone. But, I'm really creative. I'm a writer. I'm a designer. But even if I'm writing a really difficult technical text, so besides, writing children's books and stuff, I'm a technical copywriter by trade, so I love nerd talk. And I often say I make nerd sexy. So I like difficult stuff. But when I'm writing that, in the meantime, I'm also thinking a gazillion other things because I'm writing the text. So I think, this would also be a great idea for that client. So I scribble that down. And when they're doing this, wait, let me just give them some ideas for their social media. So, how can they use this really difficult subject, talk about this really difficult subject on social media? We'll write that down. In the meantime, I'm writing and my pencil reminds me that I need some, ink for new pens or whatever. Grocery list while I'm on the subject. And that goes on and on. I'm still writing a text, still going great. But it's all, going on all the time. And if people say, just sit and relax, I can't sit and relax. Are there moments that, I really can numb my brain? Yes. It wasn't until I heard Denise Duffel-Thomas talk about it, but I used to lose myself in books because it numbs all the thoughts. But I can't read a book when I'm writing for a client. You can't read a book when you have to pay attention at school. For me, when I was a kid, it did help to make little drawings. My son does it as well. And a lot of teachers still think that you're distracted. But no, actually, having that movement in your pen helps you focus on your teacher at the same time. The same, my son studies with, YouTube videos and music in the background. It would distract me, but for him, it numbs. But nothing has the same effect, I can say now, as ADHD meds. So I started trying out meds this January. So I'm really a newbie. And thankfully for me, the first medication was the right one for me. I had to play with the doses and I didn't know a lot about it. But it's really helpful if you have a specialist that knows all the things. So in the beginning, of course, my body had to get used to it. So sometimes I felt, I was so not used to the fact of not having a quiet mind. It was really, for the first couple of weeks, I really had to get used to it. But seriously, I'm still really creative. I still have all the ideas. I still create, I think, really awesome communication and marketing plans for my clients if I'm not writing a really technical, nerdy report, which really is my favorite. But I write like twice as fast because I'm only doing this. I still allow myself, if I have a great idea, I will scribble it down, but I won't overthink that. I can leave it alone. So the meds have been such a nice, well, not nice isn't even the word, a mind-blowing effect. I'm 46 years old now. I have my own business. I actually have two businesses. I'm a board member of the Juvenile Arthritis Association. Special needs mom of two. I do a ton of shit. I really still can't relax because, there's so much fun stuff to do out there. But doing all that stuff also can make me really tired. Because your mind is constantly switched on. A warm bath won't help. No distractions won't help. Just sit down won't help. Yes, a glass of wine relaxes me, but really, it doesn't help me get into action mode. So I wouldn't recommend that. It's nice in the evening, but not during the day. And actually, that numbs my creativity. So, if you're kid, I really, with this podcast, want to take away some of the fear. I saw it with my parents. 13 years ago, 12 years ago, when they heard, we were stationed in the States, and they heard all these stories about kids being medicated in American schools and whatnot. I don't know what they were thinking. But still, people are really afraid. I was talking to somebody else the other day, and she said, yeah, but I'm a really creative person. I'm so afraid that it will take away my creativity. I can tell you firsthand, with the right meds, no, that won't happen. I didn't turn into a zombie. That doesn't say, that if I was lucky. So the first meds were the right fit. And there are meds that, might not be the right fit. And you have to perhaps have a longer journey. But you see that when you have asthma. We saw that with Supergirl, with her juvenile arthritis medication. The same struggle, also because she had meds that worked. And after 6 years, they didn't work. Then she had puberty. We had to change meds again. Because she got older, and her body changed, hormones and everything. And in that way, I think it's the same for ADHD meds. And we're all different persons. So, like with asthma and juvenile arthritis, there's not one medication fit for all. That's the same with ADHD meds. To be honest, with Wonder Boy, we had a long trial and error. In America, he tried all the meds before we found the right hit. The short term was not his best because he was awake really long. And we're already night owls, so really long. And when we came back to the Netherlands, the ADHD meds available there weren't available here. And we had to start from all over again. And then they say you have to start with Ritalin, and then you work your way up to longer version. If that doesn't work, you go to a different type. You have, I think, meds that stimulate you, and you have meds that, and that sounds weird because really, do we need more stimulation? For some reason, it levels the game for me. Other people need meds that, are more, I don't know, downers, perhaps. I wouldn't know, to honest, how you would call them. And I remember when Wonder Boy was about, I think, 10 or 11 years old, and he was trying out a new med. And he was crying because he lost all his imagination. And the psychiatrist at that time said, but it's good. He needs to grow up and focus more. And if that's the side effect, and we were like, that's not a good. Seriously? Our Lego master builder, and you're going to take away his ability to play with Legos? If that happens, not a good fit. But, if you see your kid really, really struggling at school and having like a box around his desk, at least that is what they did in the old days, in my time and age, that they have this little box, or they put you in a room just by yourself, so no other kids, or in front of a white wall. That's not the trick. And trying to make everything interesting. I don't know what was the last time you were in school, but seriously, paying attention for 7 or 8 hours is hard for normal kids, let alone people with ADHD that have all the imagination and think something about everything, and no, we can't stop that. So if you're a specialist, suggests, if you see your kids still struggling at school, if you are struggling, don't be afraid to try out ADHD meds. To be honest, I was doing okay. I had my own business and doing all those things. But, girl, did I wish I knew this and I had this med way earlier, because would have that speed up a gazillion things, but also help me relax, because if your mind is constantly on, it's terrible. So I don't know if you saw that, but something changed on my screen. I'm like, am I hacked now? But so yes, there are little things that can help you focus and help your kid focus. But if your mind never stands still, never stops, and if your kid is really struggling in school, if you're constantly tired because your mind is always turned on, don't be afraid, with the help of a specialist, to try out maths. Because to be honest, I do so much more stuff now. I did a lot of stuff, but now I'm not that tired at the end because I can focus on things, on one task at a time. And it's mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. So, it's hard to explain if you don't have ADHD. But, yeah, a white wall won't help your kid. A clean desk or a clean room doesn't make the difference. Doesn't make our mind shut off. So if you see your kids struggle, contact your specialist. Try out stuff. I know it can be scary, and if your kid says it feels down because of it, it's not the right fit. But if it can help your kid succeed in school, and with succeed, I don't mean getting straight A's, because that's not what it is in life, but be happy, because his mind is a little bit more quiet. And he can, not jump into every conversation with their opinion. Focus, so not have a teacher angry at them all the time, because they're disruptive. And they don't even realize that. If you see your kids struggle, or maybe, you're really tired as well, and you have ADHD, and you can't relax, can't recharge, talk to your specialist. For me, I still can't get over the fact the first time I was standing on a train station going, I was just standing on a train station without thinking all the stories of all the people. I was just relaxing, standing, waiting for my train. And I got home after a really busy day, completely relaxed, because this was in Zen mode. So that was it for today. Let me know. Are you on meds? Did it help you or not? Did it take you long to find the right med or the right dose? What did it bring you? Or, what didn't it bring you? That's also, of course, a possibility. So let me know. Respond to this podcast. Rate and review, please, because it really helps other special needs super moms like you to find this podcast. And if you have any questions, go to the website specialneedssupermom.com, and you can contact me there, or you can find me on Instagram and Facebook. I hope you have a lovely day. Until next time, bye.